So last week I sat down with my dear friend, the one and only Sir Elton John, at his home to talk about his new revealing autobiography, Me. Take a look. So I want to say congratulations on the book.
Thank you.
It's such a huge success.
Well, I'm very relieved about that because it's a very honest account and a funny account, I hope, of what my crazy life has been like. And it's been a crazy life. I've known you for years and years, and we've both had crazy lives. And it's time now to reflect back on it at 72 years of age and write it down. And here it is. There. It's come out, thank God.
Doing the book, the diaries that I know that you've kept over the years, it must have been such a help to you going back in all the diaries.
Well, I'm not a person who writes in a diary like, I don't write about the day and feelings and what I think about people, because I don't do that. But I write about what happens during the day. Well, there are some funny things. I think there's one, got up, tidied the house, wrote Candle in the Wind, bought a Rolls Royce and had dinner with Ringo. That was exactly how mad my life was.
Yeah.
Had dinner with David Bowie and Rod. We were always rivals, but we always hung out with each other. It was fantastic. It was a wonderful time.
The sorrow seems to be the hardest word.
We all make terrible mistakes, and some of us are addicts when we're born, and we have to battle that addiction, but you can turn the corner and you can get help, and it's been the most wonderful decision I've made.
Once you got sober, part of your recovery, you were helping other people that wanted help.
Yes, I did, I was, but also other people around me didn't want me to be sober. My mother, my personal assistant, my manager,
because
they lost control, or they began to lose control.
Exactly.
But yeah, the whole point of sobriety is that when you get sober, you help other people. It's a fellowship.
And you did just that.
I did that.
Some people have accepted it and some people haven't. Like George Michael, he just couldn't.
He couldn't get it, George. I mean, and he resented the fact that I'd hinted that, you know, maybe he'd change his life a little bit and he'd be happier if he tried something else. And the person who actually wanted it.
Yeah.
It's like me, in the end, I really wanted it. I had two alternatives, one to die and one to live, and I wanted to live. But that's the difference. If you want it, and poor George didn't want it.
No, I don't think he did.
I remember talking to you the day he died at Christmas Day.
That's right.
And I phoned you when I was in Aspen, and Ozzy got on the phone and he said, he didn't want to be here. And I thought, well, that's the most succinct, apt thing. He didn't want to be here.
He was so uncomfortable.
He was so uncomfortable in his skin about being gay, even though he said he was.
Donatella, she said you saved her life.
If Donatella could get sober, then, or I could get sober, then anyone could get sober. Donatella came to a concert, and we knew she had a problem, and she would dodge me like a bullet because she didn't want me to see her. And she was in a terrible state. And I said, she's ready. She's come here, and she was crying, but it was a cry for help. And I said, let's do it. She's ready. It was a hilarious intervention because it was no normal. She's sitting there in a $100,000 ball gown, and she resisted slightly, and she went, and it was very funny. She was saying, I will come, but I don't want any oily food. No oily food. But she's been sober ever since.
The people that you have lost at such a young age, like the celebrities that we all know, from Freddie Mercury, John Lennon, Princess Diana, Gianni.
The tragedies of Gianni and Diana, who died in the most mysterious circumstances and weird circumstances, and John Lennon as well.
I know. You know, tragedies. They are tragedies.
People were murdered, and two were murdered, and one died in incredibly tragic circumstances.
You were a friend of Diana's, and I want to ask you about Harry. It seems that he has that vulnerability that Diana had, and how he has now become a friend of yours.
I think, yes. I mean, I don't see him all the time. I mean, both boys I am very fond of. You know.
But you seem very protective of Harry.
I see more of Harry than I do of William, but I love William too. Harry has his mother's ability to walk into a room of strangers and put them all at ease.
Yeah.
And it's a gift. He's fragile in a lot of ways, because I think he was deeply upset with the way his mother died and the way that she was hounded kind of into her death. He's even quoted today, and every time I hear a camera click, I think of my mother, and I flinch.
I want to ask you about your mum. I met your mum. The one thing I want to ask is why your mum was so hard. The things she would say to you and the way she treated you as a child and her temper. But you never let her down. You would take her to the most important events of your life. You would always bring her, took care of everything.
She could be so much fun. Towards the latter part of my life, when I met David, it was a civil partnership that sent everything into a tailspin. It was a very uncomfortable relationship towards the end of her life. I didn't speak to her for 6.5 years, and then I made the decision to try and reconcile with her because I didn't want her to die without me reaching out with an olive branch because she's my mother. And then when I did reconcile, she came for lunch and it was great, and my therapist said, be careful, she's going to walk in the door and she's going to start. And she walked in the door at Woodside, you knew where I live, and she went, I've forgotten how small this is. That was her first word, and I went, oh, here we go. And, you know, I inherited her temper, unfortunately, and my temper. They both have temper. I just want to tell you I love you. And she said, well, I love you too, but I don't like you. Those kind of things where the dagger goes in, you know?
Yeah.
But that was the way she was, and I had to accept it. And do I miss her? No, I don't. I hope she rests in peace. I do love her still.
Sure.
I just, you know, I think of her. I've got a picture hanging in my kitchen. If I didn't love her, I wouldn't have a photograph of her in my kitchen. So, but it's a funny relationship, and that's the way it was.
Okay, coming up next, Elton shares how having children of his own changed how he wants to live his life and tells me which artist he thinks will take over from him musically. Don't go away.
Anna.
My mental health.
Well, that went over my head.
New Young Sheldon, CBS Thursday.
We're back with more of my chat with Elton John about his best-selling autobiography, Me. Take a look. Now, your children and David, your family.
My family.
Beautiful, wonderful family.
10 years ago, Sharon, if we were sitting here and I would be talking about my family, I said, you know, I'd taken acid or something. We had 2 children by a surrogate, and it's led to me doing this farewell tour. It's led to me changing the way I want to end my life and see out the last days of my life. I love those children so much. I've never had so much love. With the 4 of us, David, me, and the boys, we are having the best time, and, you know, God's been kind to me in the latter part of my life.
What are their favourite songs?
It changes. I mean, they like Benny and the Jets.
Benny and the Jets.
They're funny little sausages, as I call them. They love music so much.
Hey, kids, say, together.
Now, they have their own favourites. They love, you know, they love their own contemporary music. Their favourite was Little Nas X and Old Town Road.
Oh, really?
Elijah can sing a song, hear a song on the radio once, and sing the whole thing.
Like you did.
Yeah, but I could play it, but I didn't know the lyrics. He knows the lyrics. And the rap parts too. So they're amazing. They've made my life so happy. You know, I'm sitting here talking to you, and we've known each other for how long? 40 years?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you've got an amazing life, and I've got an amazing life. We've both been through a lot of bad stuff, and a lot of it's been of our own making. You've held your head up high, and you stayed with your marriage, you stayed with your children because you love. If you love someone, you can't.
You can't leave.
You can't live. You can't leave.
You can't leave.
You can't leave.
No matter what.
And David, you know, the love of my life.
Who's going to take over from you musically?
Oh God, who will have the ability? You have to be a great performer, Ozzy. I mean, great performer. You know, the genre that people still sells is heavy metal music and country music.
Yes.
Most great acts now who write great songs don't get on pop radio, but they go around and they build up their own fan base. You have to play live, you have to fill a fan base. So who's going to do it? Ed Sheeran can be a big star as long as he wants it, because he has this catalogue.
Yeah.
He's already got the catalogue of songs, and he goes round and he plays
Just
on his own
him
to
on his own
75,000.
in a stadium. I can't believe it.
So he's got the experience.
Yeah.
If as long as he
Yeah.
wants it, he'll do it. Gaga, Yeah, she's got the talent. She could be the next Barbra Streisand if she wants to be. She could have a career like Barbara. The Rolling Stones, of course. They are the people that have the great catalogue that can do, you know, the Stones say, Mick says, you know, I can't go out there and play 5 or 6 new numbers in a row because people don't want to do it.
wants to hear them.
No, you know, there are times, Taryn, when I don't want to hear Bitches Back or Daniel and Benny and the Jets, but on this tour I have to play them.
It's what people want.
Because people want, and I'm lucky enough that people still want it, and so I'm grateful. Thank you for doing this.
Thank you.
And thank you for being my friend for so long.
Oh, please.
Yeah.
You get over my friend.
Mwah.
Some thick and thin.
Thank you.
Elton is out on the road now, continuing his Farewell Yellow Brick Road tour. He's also continuing his work with the Elton John AIDS Foundation, which has raised over $450 million in the global fight against HIV and AIDS. Elton's book, Me, is in stores now, and I'm telling you, it's definitely a must-read for everyone. And guess what? Everyone in today's studio audience is going home with a copy. Your chance to win the book at home. Go to thetalk.com/giveaways, and we'll be right back.